This video is sponsored by Pokemon the best place to get yourself some TCG code cards. They are compatible with TCG Live, and you can of course get everything on the website for 5% off using the coupon code ZapdosTCG. This video is also sponsored by CARDMARKET.com. This is a European platform where you're able to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. I personally use it every single day, and you can do it as well. And you can use the referral name ZapdosTCG to help support the channel. This video is also sponsored by PLAYMAT.com. This is a platform where you're able to, of course, create your own custom playmat. They have, of course, capabilities to ship worldwide, and you can get 10% off by clicking the link down below. So definitely check it out. Last but not least is Dragon Shield, the best brand to protect your beautiful cards. You can of course there's links down below for US and European people, and you can of course get your best quality sleeves available, as well as deck boxes and binders. Thanks so much for sticking around with the commercials. I hope you enjoyed today's upload. If you do, be sure to let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button, and let's get this video going. Sup YouTube, it's ZapdosTCG here, and welcome back to our TCG video on my channel. I want to wish everyone out there a happy new year. 2024 will be amazing for the channel, as well as we'll be traveling to a lot more regionals, as well as the European internationals, as well as Worlds in Hawaii, because I'm so close to getting my invite, which will be such a wonderful experience. But first of all, be sure to hit the subscribe button. You're gonna get more Pokemon TCG uploads over here that you don't want to be missing out on. And today we're gonna be taking a look at the Portland regionals, which are just around the corner, happening this weekend, and it's going to be a fantastic showcasing of how the Paradox Rift format has evolved throughout its release. This is going to be taking a look at the San Antonio regionals, which was the regionals before Portland's taking place. So have a little bit of agenda of what's happened there. So we do see that Charizard and Miraidon were the most popular decks by far, with both like over a 17% meta share, which actually is insane to think about. Then we have a couple of 8-pointers, VMAX, Gardevoir, Lost Box, and Lost Tina. If we take a look at the regionals that also happened over in Europe, we did see in the Stuttgart regionals that also Miraidon and Charizard were the most popular decks during that regional. So we do see 70% Charizard and 40% Miraidon. Gardevoir, of course, was more popular over in Europe, and Lost Tina a little bit as well. VMAX, is only 7%. That's actually very familiar, actually, because peculiar, if I had to say it, because VMAX is typically a deck that does really well over in Europe. With that being said, we're going to be doing a tier list. So if you guys are hyped for tier lists, you're going to be loving this one, because we're going to be saying it here. It's going to be the Portland Regionals tier list. I'm going to be basing my tier list on my own personal opinion and combination with tournament results throughout the couple of months that Paradox Rift has been out. I have been playtesting in the Paradox Rift meta a lot. I have been mostly maining Roaring Moon, and played a little bit of Snorlax block as well, and I actually got points throughout all the months, which is very good, very good. So actually left chien-pao behind. Maybe you can see a comeback here and there, who knows, but this will be the Portland Regional tier list. If you guys are hyped for it, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. And with that being said, let's just dive into this tier list. I've actually put everything on here, even Goldango and decks like that aren't that popular, like Lugia and stuff. I put everything on here, so we have a lot to talk about for sure. With that being said, this is going to be the tier list of your lifetime. If you're going to Portland Regionals, you're definitely going to be playing decks that are in the S kind of category or in the A category, because those will be the decks that will perform the best, most likely. Okay, well, let's just dive into this tier list and just get a couple of decks out of the way that I personally think are not great picks for a tournament at this scale. So let's just start off with some D categories first. I would not play a Lugia Archeops, definitely in a format with Charizard and Miraidon. That seems like something you don't want to be doing. And also a deck that I personally wouldn't play at that specific tournament is Goldango. So I'll put both of those in the D category for now. If you are like a Lugia main or a Goldango main, don't mind me putting them in D. Just still play them if you think they are good, but they are not well positioned in my opinion, and that's why I'm putting it down on the D category. I did see that over in Kyoto Champions League that Goldango actually did see a little bit of a resurgence with Palkia V-Star by its side, but yeah, we're not gonna count that into regard because over in the West it didn't see any success as of late. Then talking about S tiers, I'll just put Charizard as an S tier deck. I think it has proven itself worthy. It was the most popular deck, and the conversion rates during day 2 of both the Stuttgart regionals as well as the San Antonio regionals proved that Charizard is a mainstay deck. A lot of popular, and very skillful players played Charizard to some great success, and we did see a lot of them in top 8s across the globe. Charizard is mostly paired with Pidgeot EX and the Arven build. So with Arven and Forest Sealstone, you're going to be able to get your stage 2s up and play, ready to go in no time. And it's a quite easy deck to master in that regard, is that I know there's a Pidgeot in here that can get you any card you want, but as soon as you can get a Charizard out, you can do wonders, because the damage output gets increased the more prize cards the opponent has taken. So I'll be putting that as an S tier as a little bit of an example. An A tier deck, I will be putting Gardevoir. I think Gardevoir had their glory days during the beginning of Paradox Rift. People were disregarding like Gardevoir, like Iron Hands pretty much makes this deck dead and all that. But the deck did gain Screen Tail as well as Counter Catcher. And I do think with Iono and Counter Catcher by your side, you have the best comeback potential in most of the decks out there. I think Lostina also has a little bit of comeback potential in that regard as well. But Gardevoir, one of the best comeback potential because you have the craziest draw power ever with Refinement and Radiant Greninja as well as Shining Arcana. You're going to be doing so much draw power that you can find your puzzle pieces necessary to win games. Definitely coming back into games. The reason why I'm putting it at A is because a lot of these Charizard lists have been beginning like playing Lost Cities, and also Iron Hand seems to be very popular. So I'm putting it at A because it has a little bit of a target on its back and it has a little bit of a bad time against Iron Hands, but I still think Gardevoir is a great deck. Moving forward into that tier list, I'll be putting, let's say, Snorlax Stall as a B tier deck. I think that's fine. The reason why it's like evening out in this tier list is that Snorlax Stall, if you tech for it, you win. If you don't tech for it, you're going to have a hard time. Typically, players that are playing in day 2 know how to play against Snorlax Stall. You might get away with getting into day 2 very cheekily with a Snorlax Stall deck. But if people start realizing how to play against Snorlax, which by now they should, there's been a very top tier deck for 2 months now, you should definitely know how to play against Snorlax Stall. And with Charizard, it's easy. Play Turo, play Palpat, or whatever. Same goes for the Gardevoir. Also, Charizard can win if they sometimes tech in the Minior. If you just have the room for it in Arvenzard, you can tech in that cute little card Minior, have an easier time if you're expecting a lot of Snorlax Stall. If it is not respected, Snorlax Stall will definitely get into the top 8 once again. So that's how I'm putting it at the B category. It's an even deck and depends on how everyone is stacking against it. C tier deck is Roaring Moon. It hasn't shown all that much impressive results, but I still stick to it. If I'm playing like locals and stuff, I would still play Roaring Moon. Just recently I got like first place again at a challenge with Roaring Moon because it's one of the decks that doesn't mind going first, doesn't mind going second, and I always love that during challenges. Roaring Moon is also a deck you can adapt to your finest. You can be playing Town Stores with Galarian Moltres, you can be playing the full turbo mode with Pokestops and all that good stuff. You can be playing some Water Energies, Earthen Vessels, help out with that to get the Greninja attack off with E-switches. There's a lot of things you can do with Roaring Moon, but the main issue it has is that the Roaring Moon deck is actually easy. It's an easy time for decks like Gardevoir. Gardevoir can just run away with games against Roaring Moon quite easily, I might add. And there's also the bad thing about playing against decks that play a high amount of path to the peak. Think about Mew VMAX decks and Lostina. If they start with a turn 1 path, this deck pretty much crumbles, and that's where the weakness lies with Roaring Moon. What else are we going to be putting in the tier list? I think Lostina, I don't want to be putting it in tier S. I think I'll put it in the high end of tier A. Giratina Lost Box is a deck that always seems to be performing, even though there's a lot of there's like 2 camps. Either you really hate the deck because you think it's inconsistent and the only thing you can get off is like a Sableye Scratch or Abyss Seeking into nothing. That is something you can get. Or people that really love the deck and just say it's the deck with the most even matchups, and if you have the skills, you can win against everything. You have Path, you have Counter Catcher, you have all the good things necessary to win games, and yeah, it has in theory a reasonable matchup against anything in the top tier slots, and even auto wins Snorlax Stall. So what more do you want? Well, Lostina, it's an A tier deck for me. Okay, with that being said, we're going to be taking a gander at, let's see here, chien-pao. Oh yeah, chien-pao hasn't been performing all that well. I'll also be putting it in a tier C. Even though they're still true believers of the deck, think about Jared Grant still grinding it out with chien-pao. I played chien-pao during the Paldea Evolve format, got like over 300 CP with the deck, and then when Paradox Rift came out, I said like, no, the deck is not that good anymore. Even though you do gain Iron Hands with that Lightning Energy and the Earthen Vessel thrown into your list, which you can fetch with Irida, it is still not the same vibe as it was before Paradox Rift came out. Paradox Rift also gave us a very top tier control deck with Snorlax Stall, and also with that it gained a lot of popularity in the sense is that with chien-pao being there, Miraidon also skyrocketed. I think Miraidon is still a very difficult time for chien-pao, to be honest. Sometimes they're playing a turn 1 path and you cannot do anything, and other times they go, oh, you have a 1 prizer in the active position because you want to be waiting with that prize mapping, and boom, out of nowhere the Iron Hands, your Frigibacks or whatever. It's all possible, and with the most recent list of chien-pao cutting down on your switch outs, you also lose against Snorlax Stall now. So yeah, they also cut down on a lot of clones. So yeah, I don't know. chien-pao is not greatly positioned, even though in theory you have a great time against Gardevoir, you have a great time against Charizard, right? But Gardevoir gains Iono with Counter Catcher, which made chien-pao very bad, and also with the Scream Tail, they can instantly go after your Baxcalibur if you're not careful enough and don't slap down your Manaphy. So yeah, things could go haywire with that matchup as well. And Charizard is a deck that now is very, very good because it runs Counter Catcher. So if Charizard falls behind the Counter Catcher, your Baxcalibur, and sometimes they throw them in the Lost Zone and you still lose. So there's that. An A tier deck that I think is a little bit underplayed currently is Urshifu Inteleon. I think it has a great matchup spread. You want to be seeing any Lost Box deck out there because you can you can Yoga Loop on all of their Pokemon. More in particular, you can Yoga Loop their Manaphy and then go for a G-Max Rapid Flow, cleaning their board wide open. Same goes for against Charizard. You have the TM Devolution. You can devolve the Charizard, and out of nowhere they're crying in a corner. So the only thing that it has issues with is Mew VMAX. Even with Spiritomb being included in the deck, that's not always an auto win. It's still very difficult if the Mew player is able to go first, get their setup and go for a boss play on the Spiritomb. Then yeah, it pretty much comes, hopefully you have Clara in hand or something like that. But yeah, the deck is good on paper, has great times against almost anything. Auto loses against Snorlax Stall, I suppose, and yeah, a Roaring Moon as well. But those are a little bit on the lower end of the popularity scale, so who knows? Maybe it's time for Urshifu Inteleon to win another regionals. Miraidon I'd also put in tier A, I guess. Should I put one of these in tier S? I think Charizard for now is the only tier S deck in my opinion, as it saw results throughout the entire lifespan of the Paradox Rift format. I'll be putting Miraidon here in tier A as well, together with Gardevoir, Lostina, and Urshi Intel. Maybe we could put Urshi Intel to tier B. Maybe that makes more sense because it's actually not that popular, and could also lose against the Miraidon, being able to get 3 energies onto its Miraidon to then go for a gusting play on an Urshifu that they haven't played. Let's just put Urshi Intel on tier B and then put Miraidon in that tier A slot. It's definitely going to be one of the more popular decks, so maybe we just put it like this. Charizard, Miraidon, and Gardevoir, the most expected decks. Also the most solid decks out there. Gardevoir is a little bit difficult in that sense that you have to know when to scoop, because a lot of players that have been just recently getting into the game, you have to know when to scoop. And with Gardevoir, you always say, I have a chance, I can still Iono, I can still Counter Catcher, but then, yeah, you fall in the trap of tying a lot. Lostina could also be one of those decks, so I think Charizard and Miraidon are definitely going to be the most popular decks, and also very greatly positioned in my opinion. If you know the decks well, the format has been solved so far. I don't think there's going to be any new decks around the block here that get people off guard, but who knows. Clove Electrode going into that tier C. I'm not going to put it in tier D because Clove Electrode has something good going for it, is that you do hit weakness against Miraidon and you do hit weakness against Charizard, and with that being these being the most popular Pokemon out there, you can still run away with games, and that's why I'm putting it at tier C and not in tier D. Fusion Mew and Mew DTE. Interesting. I'll put both the Mews in tier... I don't know. What do we do with the Mews, mates? What do we do with the Mews? Charizard, the most popular deck in town. You do have a great time against Miraidon, so it's going to be a little bit back and forth. DTE Mew is still great against stuff like the Gardevoir. If you have enough path and the opponent runs out of a stadium, I don't know. I'll put both the Mews in tier B. I could be maybe putting Fusion Mew in tier A because Fusion Mew is always a great deck, has a great time against almost anything, but has a I don't think is having a great time against Charizard and Gardevoir. Depends on like if Fusion Mew can find their Lost City in time. Maybe the Ice Q and Sniper rolls on the bench and put it in the Lost Zone. But with Mirage Tap being an almost all the Gardevoir list out there, I think the Mews have it tough against Gardevoir. Also, some of these Giratina lists are also playing Spiritomb, which makes it hard. So in that sense, and also Miraidon, sometimes if they're playing the Turbo Miraidon build with like 18 energies, they're playing that Drapion, and then it definitely goes haywire. So I think that's also putting it in tier B for me. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's fine. Maybe Mew wins another tournament. You never know. It's Mew. It's Mew's last stand because, as we all know, over in April, there's going to be that rotation with EOIC around the block, and it's going to be fantastic to see which changes come to the metagame. Okay, then Lost Box, and I'm going to call this like the Lost Box with Iron Hands, with Roaring Moon in there, sometimes even Tropies and super effective glasses. Pretty much Lost Box and the Paradox Rift EX cards, like Roaring Moon and Iron Hands being in the Lost Box. That's a very great deck as well. So I also put that in tier A because in theory it can actually win against anything as well. So that's it for the A tier. I think only Charizard and S tier. I could also put it in tier A, to be honest, but I think Charizard is just that good and can tack against its terrible matchup. Let's be honest, if you're up against Gardevoir, add in some more Lost Cities. If you're up against Snorlax, add in that Minior, or just go for the Turo Palpat strategy. Maybe it's a little bit of a universal attack as well, so maybe that's the best way to go about it. So for now, I'd be putting that in the, and the tier S. I think Charizard is going to be really popular, and I wouldn't be surprised if it actually hit over 20% meta share. Even, I would say, yeah, 20 is like the most, so I could see it going. But it's a very great deck, and I probably would be testing it out as well. Maybe tech for the mirror match, be careful. Maybe either you play Justified Gloves or Tool Jammer. Tool Jammer is a little bit less good, I suppose, but Tool Jammer also works out against stuff against Miraidon, so there's that. With that being said, Entei Iron Valiant hasn't been performing all that well. I'll put it in tier C, so I'll put in the tier C category, and then the last box is Sablezard. Sablezard tier... Yeah, Sablezard did sometimes do well, but I think the regular Lost Box versions are better, so I'll put that in tier C as well. So yeah, this seems to be my tier list going into Portland Regionals. Are you guys going to Portland Regionals? Let me know which deck would you pilot if you were going. I personally would be one of the underdogs, maybe playing chien-pao or Roaring Moon, and to see how far it gets me. I know people say like the decks are inherently not well positioned in the meta, but I think in theory, chien-pao could do some miracles here. Chien-pao has the options to win against Gardevoir, win against Charizard, and also maybe you just go back to the original way of playing chien-pao without Iron Hands. Maybe that could be the way they solve the puzzle and somebody gets into top 8 with chien-pao. Let's just hope. I'm a chien-pao believer, you all know. Let me know in the comments which decks I should put higher or lower up on the tier list. This is my personal opinion. Your opinion could be totally different, so I really want to know down below. Also, subscribe for more daily Pokemon TCG uploads as we'll be taking a look at the upcoming sets soon, which is going to be that Paldean Fates set with some niche cards thrown in there, like the Moonhill Stadium, which is going to help out Gardevoir. So yeah, more content coming your way, and also go check out our sponsors as well. Sponsors, of course, help support the channel with what it needs to grow and stuff. So definitely check out Dragon Shield if you're looking for sleeves, binders, and deck boxes. They are got you covered. You can get 5% off. Click that link down below over there, and you can get 5% off on sleeves, binders, and deck boxes. There is PokemonStore.com, the best place for TCG live code cards. Use that coupon code ZABLOUSTCG for a whopping 5% off on everything on TCG. For TCG live, to be honest. So on the Pokemon Store website, you can get promo codes. You can get the booster pack codes, anything. Also, there is yourplaymat.com if you want to create your own custom playmat from scratch. It's a new year, new playmat. That's what we say here. So definitely check it out. You can get 10% off right now by clicking that link below. So create your own unique playmat you've always dreamed of. Your favorite wallpaper, your own logo, you name it. They turn it into a beautiful playmat and ship it worldwide. Last but not least is going to be CARDMARKET.com, a European platform where you're able to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. Use the referral name ZABLOUSTCG to help support the channel. So yeah, good luck at everyone playing at the Portland Regionals, and I am very curious to see the results and see if I was right with my tier list and meta prediction. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day. I'll see you guys tomorrow for more Pokemon TCG madness. Peace.